Hi, learners. In today's session, we are discussing about the very hot basics of computer science and software development, the software development lifecycle. Before going into detailed about a software development lifecycle, let us simply understand what a software is. In the context of software engineering, a software is nothing but a solution for a hitching problem, either for the society or for the individual. And therefore, to overcome this problem, organizations and IT companies have started developing the so-called software, which sometimes is simple, but other times is a very complex product. Whenever there is complexity involved in a development, people try to break the problem into smaller chunks, break the whole problem into small pieces, and try to solve each pieces in such a way that each pieces are solved easily. This is the crux of our subject for today, the software development lifecycle. As we know, we have learned about plenty of life cycles throughout our career, and that is true with the development of software as well. Since most of the software are done through teams, this life cycle plays a major role in effectively implementing and optimizing the usage of resources and solving the problems so that you build a solution with minimal resources, minimal effort, and minimum cost, keeping the factor of quality to the maximum. In the concept of software engineering, a software development process is dividing the entire software development procedure into smaller, or let's say parallel, or even maybe sequential steps to improve the process, design, product management, and project management. This is simply known as software development lifecycle. This methodology may include sometimes predefined specific deliverables that is produced during different milestones, and finally integrated and completed by a project team to create or maintain an application. The concept of SDLC focuses on high quality software. When I speak about high quality software, we mean that the proposed software or the proposed product will definitely meet or exceeds the customer expectations, reaching the customers on time, maybe within time, and cost estimates. Three important factors that affect almost all software development is the time that is taken for developing the software, the effort that is taken for developing the software. Of course, time and effort are closely related together. And the third important factor is quality. So our aim is to produce and prepare a software with minimum time, minimal effort, and with maximum quality. Therefore, the concept of software development includes a detailed plan describing how to develop maintain, and replace or alter or even enhance the specific software. The entire life cycle of a software development focuses on a methodology. The methodology that improves the quality of software and the overall development process. Let us start with discussing the various stages of software development life cycle. The software development life cycle is also shortened as SDLC in industry. The SDLC consists of specifically 6 stages. We start with the planning phase. We move on to the defining phase, then to the designing phase, the building phase, the testing phase, and finally the deployment phase. Let us see these stages in detail. Stage 1 is the planning stage, which we have already mentioned. What is this planning stage? Let us redefine the planning stage as planning and requirement analysis. What is this planning? The planning is nothing but checking and evaluating and analyzing whether the proposed software is feasible or not. What is this feasibility? The theoretical feasibility focuses on basically 3 important kinds of feasibility: the economic feasibility, the technical feasibility, and the social and the societal feasibility. Once the feasibility stage is analyzed and a positive node is evaluated or interpreted, we move on to gather the requirements of the proposed system. The requirements or the process called requirement analysis is the most important and fundamental stage of any software development life cycle, be it a small software or a very large complex software. Generally, the requirement analysis is performed by the senior members, taking inputs from customers, the end users, and all the stakeholders, as I have already mentioned. We even take inputs from the market, take inputs from domain experts, and also from the industry. This information that is taken or that is captured is used to plan the basic project approach. And this information is also used to conduct the feasibility study. That is the economic feasibility, the operational feasibility, and the technical feasibility. Rigorous planning for quality improvements, the so-called quality assurance improvements, and identification of risks associated with this project is also one of the focal points in this planning stage. The outcome of all these feasibility studies is to define the various technical approaches that can be followed to implement the project successfully with minimum risk, minimum cost, and maximum quality. Let us go to the second stage. The second stage focuses on defining the requirements. That is, we have come to a stage after the requirement analysis, and once the requirement analysis is over, the next important stage is to define and document the product requirements. When I mean documenting product requirements, there is a software standard or there is an IEEE standard that has been mentioned to note down the requirement analysis in such a way that the requirement analysis becomes uniform throughout the world. That is, the requirement analysis documented in a particular format called as the SRS format, the software requirement specification format, is uniform throughout the world and therefore is easily understood by anybody sitting in the other part of the world. So the requirement analysis is documented on a specification document called as SRS, the software requirement specification, which consists of all the product requirements to be designed and developed throughout the product or project lifecycle. What is the third stage? Once the planning and the defining gets completed, we move on to the third stage called designing the product architecture. The data that has been captured or documented in the SRS, the software requirement specification, gets moved to the design phase, where we have a document called design document specification. This design document specification is reviewed by all the important stakeholders and based on various parameters such as risk assessment, product robustness, design modularity, budget and time constraints. From a series of alternative designs, a best design approach is selected. This best design approach or the design approach of the product clearly defines all the architectural modules along with the selection of database and the creation of user interface. The stage 4 focuses on building or developing the product. As we know, building a software always requires programming, at least in simple sense itself. In this stage, the actual development starts through some kind of a programming, either the high level programming or the low level programming. It depends on the need of the organization and the normal coding guidelines that are followed by the organization. So, as far as high level programming is concerned, there are different high level programming languages such as the scientific programming component called C, the object oriented programming called C++. We had the Pascal, we have the much robust Java programming language, and the modern hypertext preprocessor, otherwise called as the PHP, used for coding. Stage 5 focuses on testing the product. Once the programming is completed, the product development is completed, the product is sent for testing, in which the testing phase focuses on clearly identifying the bugs if there is any. This stage is actually the subset of all the stages in the modern software development lifecycle, but testing itself is one of the main stages of the classical lifecycle model. Here, defects are reported, defects are identified, tracked, fixed, retested until the product or project reaches a benchmark standard defined in the software requirement specification. Stage 6 focuses on deployment in the market and maintenance. That means we are ready after the testing process. Now, this stage focuses on deploying the product. Either it could be a parallel deployment or it could be a hybrid deployment. Once the deployment is over, the stage moves on to the maintenance phase, where if some corrections, some patches are required, it is added and the product or project is done the required maintenance. Now, in industry, we have plenty of software development lifecycle models. All these models focuses on the effectiveness of developing the software in terms of cost, time and quality. All these models are generally referred to as software development process model. Some of the most important models I have represented here: the waterfall model, the classic waterfall model, the Boehm's iterative model, the spiral model, the V model, and the Big Bang model. Let us discuss about waterfall model. The waterfall model is the first model to be introduced, and it is always a linear sequential model, which is very simple to understand and use. that is in the waterfall model, each phase is completed before you start the next phase. That is, there is no overlapping between the phases. The waterfall model illustrates that the software development process is a linear sequential flow, and therefore the phases do not overlap. The basic steps of waterfall model are as follows. You start with the requirement analysis, you finish the requirement analysis, you have a document called software requirement specification, or otherwise called as SRS. The software requirement specification SRS forms the output of the requirement analysis. This output becomes the input of system design, which is the second phase. System design has its own output called as the design document specification. The DDS forms the input for the implementation phase. Once the implementation is over, we will have a set of lines of code as our product, and this lines of code becomes the input for the testing phase. The testing phase will eventually prepare something called a software testing specification, the STS. This software testing specification document, if it is successfully cleared, moves to the deployment phase, and the deployment output moves to the maintenance phase. And this is an iterative model, which is really, though it is called as a theoretical linear model, it is a cyclic model. The sequential phases in waterfall model focuses on the requirement gathering, the system design, the implementation, the integration and testing, the deployment of the system, and finally maintenance. I have discussed about all these six steps while we were discussing about the different phases of software development lifecycle. Why does this model is referred to as waterfall model? When you carefully analyze all these phases are cascaded to each other, in which the progress is always seen as flowing steadily downwards like a waterfall through the different phases. The next phase is started only after the defined set of goals are achieved for the previous phase, and it is signed off. So the name, the waterfall model. Now, the waterfall model is very apt in cases where the software requirement specifications are very well documented, clear and fixed. When you apply the waterfall model based product definition is very stable. The technology is easily understood and is generally not dynamic. So there are no ambiguous requirements coming up for the waterfall model. And it is always applied in projects where the time frame of the project is very small. The simple advantages of waterfall model is that we can clearly set the schedule with specific deadlines for each stage of development, and the product can proceed through the development process model phases one by one. That is, there is no overlapping. This waterfall model always is simple and easy to manage due to the rigidity of the model. The phases are completed, processed one at a time, and it works for smaller projects as we have already mentioned. This waterfall model is applied in situations where requirements are clearly mentioned and understood, and the process and results are very well documented. The disadvantages of waterfall model. There is no working software produced until late during the life cycle. Since the changes are occurring in dynamic way, it is impossible for the waterfall model to accommodate these changes, and therefore there is high amount of risk and uncertainty. This waterfall model is generally not suitable for good models, complex models, and object-oriented projects. It is a very poor model for long and ongoing projects because we have already mentioned that it is only good for short projects. This model cannot accommodate the changing requirements and it cannot adjust the scope during the life cycle till the end of the project. The integration that is done as a big bang at the very end, doesn't allow identifying any technological or business bottlenecks. So, with this, I've just concluded the concept of software development lifecycle and the very basic popular software development lifecycle model defined as the waterfall model. Thank you.